This hood latch has been a problem since the day I bought the car. I just never got around to it. And I've done a lot of these because it's a typical issue in the auto body industry. And almost always it's nothing but dirt and grime getting caught up in the moving parts of the latch. And I know that's hard to believe, and your first instinct is telling you you just need to adjust that latch. And you're going to find out there's little, if any, adjustment on that latch. So then the next thing people do is assume the latch is bad and they go buy a new one. You can save your money almost all the time by taking that latch all the way out, cleaning the hell out of all the moving parts and the springs, and blowing it out and then re-greasing it back up and sticking it back on there. And like I said, almost always you're going to find out it works like brand new. But in this car, you had to slam the hood so hard to get at the latch that often I was afraid I was going to dent the top of the hood because you had to hold your hand on it, starting from the highest position, and just slam the hell out of it. And it'd be real loud, and I would scare people at gas stations when I went to check my own. They all give me dirty looks. And I'd be like, sorry. But for some reason, these latches accumulate a lot of grime. And you can't see it from the top of it looking down at it. You have to take it off. And then you start seeing all, what's really happening here. And so when you do take it off, well, see, here's what happens. Say you go pull your hood, pops it, pulley thing. And the hood pops up a little bit of ways, and then you got to stick your finger in there, move it out, and pull up the hood. Well, when people pull up the hood, your latch goes to here and releases the hood. So this finger goes to this finger. And what's happening is this finger is only going about to here. And that's because of all the grime and grit and dirt building up around this part of the latch. Okay, so you can get it open and you pop it open, and then you go to shut it and you can't get it shut because the hood latch is coming down on this part of the latch, and that's because it never opened here. The first thing you want to do is take a really good look at it and make sure nothing is broken or stripped out, or the latch itself is not loose. Here you see me putting a shim in between this latch and the actual body of the latch, and I'm just testing that out to see if the hunch was right, but it turned out not to be right because the hook still would not close. And I'm starting to see at this point what the main problem is here, and this part of this latch, which is the primary latch, is not collapsing all the way down. And I'm trying to figure out the reason for it as I'm pushing it down, trying to pull it out. And at first I don't find it, and I take the latch all the way off to clean it up, which you have to do anyway. But I do come back to this and find the problem. There's just two bolts that hold this latch in. There you see both of them right there. And then when you get those undone, there's going to be that hood release cable that runs all the way to the inside of the car where you release the hood. I'll show you that here in a minute. And if we look down on the inside of the latch, you can see two tabs sticking out right there, and they go in the holes in the mount right there. They're kind of cross member thing. The radiator plugs in. And then the actual bolts go through these cheap metal clips, which I never liked. These things strip out real easy. And they're just kind of flimsy. They should have welded a nut onto the back of those. And here we see the hood release cable, and there is a little bolt right there that we'll have to unscrew, and then once we do that, we can maneuver that cable out of there. This here's industrial strength grease remover, and just drown the thing and just try to get up in all the nooks and crannies and any moving parts. And then after leaving it sit for a couple hours, I took the pressure washer and just cleaned the hell out of it. And I took my time on this and really tried to get it as clean as I could. If you don't have a pressure washer, you can just take it to the car wash and clean your car while you're at it. Back in the old days, we had grease. We used to grease everything ourselves. It's a good thing I still have some. Stuff lasts pretty much forever unless you're doing a big major job. Grease, yeah, we're gonna let that dry out. Every now and then we're gonna go up and shake any excess water out. And then we're gonna grease it back up real good and stick it back on there. Grease on that major moving part, the primary latch that gets pushed down. I think I'm going to have to bend that out a little bit. It's rubbing a little bit too hard on that other bracket, and I believe that's what's causing half if not all the problem. This had to be done anyway because it was filthy in there, even if it didn't need, even if, being dirty wasn't the major problem here. It still has to be done because eventually it would have been a major problem. So it's kind of preventive maintenance. I'm pretty sure it's just that primary latch rubbing too hard against, the bracket. I'll show you what I mean in a second. This is a primary latch that keeps your hood from blowing off. If it pops up and you're going down the highway, that'll just hold the hood from jumping all the way up. If that gets pushed down and it rides against this piece right here, and that is a little too bent close to this. There's too much friction there. You see how it's wearing down? There should be a little friction, but this is really, really hard to push down. So I'm going to kind of customize that once we get it back in. I'm going to bend it out a little bit. This spring right here, that needs to be lubed up. Between these two latches definitely needs to be lubed up. Back down in there. Spring. The spring looks a little stretched out here. And not in the best shape, but I've seen worse. So I'm just going to blow this out with the compressor. I should have showed a close-up of this. It was really bad and corroded. And yours probably is too. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you on camera, but you need to get it in a place where that cable kind of just, you can bend the actual cable itself up in there and then kind of let it go once it settles in there. I don't know if that made any sense, but you see how that is bent? And I don't want to unbend that. So I just kind of had to maneuver the cable down into it and just kind of snake it around the clip. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll try to catch it on camera when we put it back together. Take it off and clean it out, stick it, grease it up, and then stick it back on and see what happens. If that doesn't work, take a really good look at what's going on, and like me, you might have to bend something back in place.